Thank you for listening to Pow Block Podcast, the flagship Nintendo podcast of Boss Rush Network. Do you need even more gaming and entertainment in your life? Head over to bossrush.net where you can find news, reviews, creators, podcasts, and more focused around the content you enjoy. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Nintendo Pow Block. I am your host, Jacob Taylor, and joining me, as always, is the dashing, debonair Dungeoneer, David Lasby.
Hey, everybody.
The incredible indie insider, Dan Murphy.
Hello, everybody.
And the astounding award-winning author, Stephanie Klimov.
Oh, thanks for having me back.
Welcome back, everybody. How's it going?
I'm awake.
I'm so excited to talk about the Direct.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, hey, Dan, do you know why Nintendo never made a Crazy Kong?
I do not.
He'd be too bananas.
Oh,
Oh, man.
Thank you. So welcome, everybody. As you can see, Ed is not here today, so I'm doing a terrible job of hosting this week's show. This is episode 264 of Nintendo Pow Block. We do have a statement from Ed, so I'm going to read that very quickly for you all. It says,
we love you, Ed.
We do love you, Ed, and we miss you. And I really miss you being in this chairs. You're a tough seat to fill. So it says, "Hello everyone. Sorry I cannot make the show this episode. The Nintendo Direct has drained my hype energy, which is impossible to believe. I ended up in Dr. Mario's office with some fellow Pokemon. Don't fret. I will be back next week, but know this. Bayonetta 3 has been worth the wait, and Platinum Games are some cheeky devs. With that being said, enjoy the show, and I will see you later. I smell some chili dogs somewhere." So, with that, I think we'll go ahead and get into our Snacktendo. Dan, take it away.
Oh, well, I've been really bored. I've been eating the most bland food for like 2 months. But, however, I'm starting to come out of that. And we just made homemade ramen, and it was probably the best ramen I've ever had in my life. It was so good.
You can't beat a good ramen.
You said you made homemade ramen?
Yeah, we didn't make the noodles from scratch, but like we made the broth and everything and seasoned the beef and, just did everything except home make the ramen itself.
Was this for like an event or something?
No, just for home, just for dinner.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's fun. That sounds delicious. David, what have you been up to in Snacktendo world?
Well, something that absolutely no one besides myself will find exciting in vegan world. My wife made some lentil loaf, which is kind of like the meatloaf equivalent, which I love. It's kind of we usually make it this time of year. So see, Dan's already starting. So like mashed potatoes, green beans, and lentil loaf with like a zesty topping is my favorite, like from scratch, kind of this time of year meal. So that was a highlight of my week. And, kind of a seasonal drink at Starbucks that I like to get this time of year is a soy chai. So I treated myself this week as well. So there's your vegan update.
Yeah. I love chai tea very, very much, which is just tea. Did you know that?
That's true.
That chai means tea. So it's just tea. Stephanie, how about you? What have you been snacking on this week?
Well, first, I'll actually volunteer for that recipe for a lentil loaf, David, because I've been slowly treading into some vegan territory. Not like as a permanent location, but, if I can find a good recipe for anything, I'll give it a shot.
Awesome.
Let me see. Actually, I'm really getting into Target makes it, and I'm sure there are other brands, but I've specifically got a Target brand trail mix, but it's peanut butter and chocolate trail mix. So it's not your healthy garbage, it's your bad for you garbage, which I love. There's chocolate, like imagine mini Reese's in there with M&Ms and these pretzels coated with a peanut butter thingy and just a little bit of peanuts. So most of it is chocolate and peanut butter. And I love it. Holy crap. It gives me quite the sugar spike after my lunch. But I've been noshing on that every day. I treated myself to sushi yesterday.
What kind of sushi?
I got it's kind of it's what they call the dragon roll in some places. So
Oh,
it's
I
cooked
love
eel.
dragon roll.
Oh, cooked eel with some avocado. It's so good. The eel sauce is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always have on the side just your basic spicy tuna roll. So
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
those are my go-tos for
My
sure.
go-to is shrimp tempura. I have to get a shrimp tempura roll
I
every
can't
time.
stand shrimp.
Oh no.
Is it the texture?
Yeah, it's so chewy.
Yeah.
It's gross.
I feel like
Even
a
when
lot
I
of
ate meat, I didn't like shrimp. Shrimp, the texture is really bizarre. I can't do it.
it's really easy to overcook, and once it gets overcooked, it's like rubber. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
We're New Englanders too, so we
Yeah.
we eat more seafood than anybody.
True facts. All right, Jacob, how about you?
Okay, so I'm definitely taking up the role of Ed on this week for Snacktendo because I've been on vacation. I just got back from Disney World, and oh my god, we went at the best time. We got to experience Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween, which had all sorts of like Halloween themed snacks, which unfortunately I didn't get to try any of those because the lines were incredibly long and we just didn't feel like waiting for them. But they also were on the very tail end of Epcot's Food and Wine Festival, which we sampled. I think it was 14 different like countries' main food. I did give up on I wasn't even gonna bother trying to do veganism stuff with this because I was like, I'm on vacation. It's gonna be food extraordinaire all from all over the world, so I'm just gonna take whatever they give me. A couple like major shout outs were we went to Be Our Guest restaurant, which is obviously Beauty and the Beast themed, and I had a pork belly. I don't even know what to call it. Like it was just pork belly that was like kind of fried but not really, and it also had sun-dried tomatoes. And then my girlfriend Becca picked up the filet mignon, and her and my dad and my mom all got that, and they said it was the best filet mignon they've ever had. Speaking of food from around the world, we had a 3-cheese stuffed beignet from France.
Ooh,
What?
We had
That sounds delicious.
oh
Beignets are so good.
it's
so good.
One of the cheeses, I think, was brie, and it was melted, and it tasted like it was gravy. Like it tasted like it not only had cheese, but it was just cheese in the beignet, but it tasted like it had gravy in it. I also had griddled cheese from Greece with honey and a little bit of pistachio put on there. That was super delicious. We did have, so speaking of shrimp and how I hate shrimp, we had the one like terrible thing that we had was from Ireland, and it was called a fisherman's pie, and it was shrimp and some other things, but man, that thing, we didn't even, like, we were able to finish pretty much everything else that we ate, but we had to throw that thing away after. And it was just they were just little bite-sized pieces, like test trials of everything.
Do you like shepherd's pie?
Yeah, I do love shepherd's pie.
Okay, so it's just
That's
the
a classic.
seafood's pie was like that.
No,
wasn't
dude,
it for you.
I cannot stand shrimp at all.
Like Irish food is just so bland. Like I mean, my whole family's like off the boat Irish, and like everything's just flavorless with a little bit of salt in it, and I cannot imagine fisherman's pie being any good. Like I would have avoided that one like the plague.
Well,
Jacob,
or just
what was
any
your-
Irish food.
what's up?
What was your favorite Epcot food place?
So I think my favorite has to go to Canada. Weirdly enough, they had a
Cool.
bacon cheddar soup with like a pretzel bread, but that soup was in it. Mind you, this is in Florida in September, but it was still like 80 degrees and like 70 to 80% humidity, so we were incredibly hot and sweating. But then we took a bite of that hot soup, and oh my god, that was amazing. It was so good. I cannot believe how good that soup was, and it was just weird that something that seemed like so bland ended up sticking out so well. We did also have a beef bone like bao bun from China. That was really good. Then
Yum.
in Animal Kingdom, on the dessert side of things, I had the Dole ice cream, like vanilla and
Yes.
orange, it was so good. Except they dyed the vanilla ice cream green, so it was a green and orange like spiral slushy mixture thing. That was delicious as well, very cooling. But yeah, it was good. I did have one vegan thing though. Weirdly enough, they served vegetable like hot dogs at this place called the Flame Barbecue in Animal Kingdom, which was really good. So I did. It was a little good, but it was my vacation, so I was like, I'm gonna just jump off the bandwagon. I'll get back on it when I get back from vacation. So yeah.
Ed would be proud. You totally.
Yes. You carried this over perfectly.
Thank you. No, yeah, I was super. Ed mentioned it, and I was sad that Ed wasn't here, but I was like, oh my god, if Ed was here and I had to be here, it'd probably be like a 40-minute Snacktendo. So that was our Snacktendo segment, and now we're gonna get into Game Fact Advanced, which I have this week, and I wanted to mention my little joke there at the intro. About Crazy Kong, actually not entirely true. I found out while researching, making sure that Crazy Kong was never a thing. Apparently, in 1981, a game development company named Falcon created an arcade game called Crazy Kong, which was actually licensed by Nintendo. It was originally believed to be a bootleg copy of their very famous Donkey Kong. But it was officially licensed by Nintendo only in Japan, and it's because they couldn't keep up with domestic demand of their Donkey Kong machines in Japan. So that's a fun little fact for you. Nintendo's been struggling with supply and demand since the very beginning. So don't know why that's still a problem, but it is. It is indeed. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that they licensed somebody to make their most famous game as and not even call it the same thing. They weren't even like, hey, can y'all produce the same cabinet that we're producing? And we'll give you some of the profits. They were just like, no, just bootleg it and call it this and we'll say it's okay.
And Nintendo's oldest franchise.
Which is also celebrating an anniversary this year, but Metroid has definitely overtaken it for importance.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there you go. And with that, we will go into Family News. David, take it away.
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
That was good. I felt like Ed was here. I got chills there.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Well, we are going to have a short Family News segment this week because obviously so much of the news that has dominated the Nintendo world came from the Direct, which is our Doc Mode topic tonight. So just a few things to get caught up on from this last week or so. Japan's getting a stunning Zelda Skyward Sword soundtrack with an adorable music box. So this is from Ryan Craddock at NintendoLife.com. Quote, for the 500th time this year, we're here to express our excruciating jealousy over the amazing things that Nintendo fans in Japan get treated to. This time, it's a stunning Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword soundtrack collection. From the Nippon Columbia, the new soundtrack will be available for Japanese fans in either a regular or first press limited edition. Both come with 5 discs of music from the game with 187 songs featured in total. But the limited edition also includes a luxury outer box and a truly beautiful music box which plays Ballad of the Goddess. I want that so bad. The cost is actually reasonable in terms of what you would expect for this kind of collector's item. It's only $50 or $80 respectively, depending on which version is purchased. So for consideration, we've talked about this on the show previously, but here we are again with the North American market missing out on great collectibles like this. In the past we talked about the Steelbook that Europe got for Link's Awakening that we didn't get here. Is Nintendo missing out on sales by not making these products more available here in the U.S.? So Stephanie, I'll start with you. I know you're one of several major Zelda fans we got on the panel tonight, but what are your thoughts on this? Is this something you would order if it was here? And what's Nintendo doing?
Absolutely. I'm restraining myself from like foaming at the mouth as you were describing the content in that with it. Okay, so let me just start at square one. I can understand why, Nintendo would release either certain products or collectibles in their base market in Japan versus maybe in the West. Maybe not all things will translate. Um, but I feel that music is something that everyone can identify with and enjoy. Soundtracks are a huge part of gaming. They even have Symphony of the Goddess. They have a traveling orchestra that's come to the States, and the two times I've been there, I don't know if they've been sold out, but it was packed. So there's a call for music. And what kind of boggles my mind even more so is that the Wii version of Skyward Sword was the 25th anniversary, and it came with the CD. You didn't even need some special edition hoo-ha. It just came with it. So I figured that if they previously released a soundtrack for Skyward Sword, I'm a little shocked in this case that they would restrict it to Japan this time around, because I don't know, it just would make more sense. And yes, I'm devastated. If it did come out in the West, I would have definitely gotten the, what was it, platinum or deluxe or whatever.
Yeah, the first press limited edition. And if you're listening, it's definitely worth Googling the story or heading over to Nintendo Life because the physical presentation of it is just gorgeous. Like it is, you get your money's worth in terms of the presentation of the discs and the music box. It's awesome. It's funny, Stephanie, that you mentioned the soundtrack that came with the Wii version of Skyward Sword. I have that in my car, and I still listen to it pretty frequently to this day. It's one of my favorite, soundtracks to listen to, and of course, it's a celebration of 25 years of Zelda. So it's just odd that this one's not available. Jacob, I know you're obviously a huge Zelda fan as well. What are your thoughts on this story?
I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm honestly, my first reaction to it was I didn't even realize there were 108 songs to put on from Skyward Sword onto a collection. And then so I looked into it, and the music box is like cool, but it's not, it's like kind of plain-y. It's just the coolest thing about it is that it's clear, so you see all of the insides of the music box, and that's kind of like a throwback to how controllers and systems and stuff would be clear back in the day. But at the same time, it's just not like super dazzling, which maybe that's the reason for the price point being at what it is. But like, I don't know, I kind of would prefer similar to the show that, like what Stephanie talked about, the Symphony of the Goddess Orchestra. Like, I would prefer a collection of like all of the best songs from the entire series, because like, again, there's a couple things from Skyward Sword that I would want to listen to again, but I don't think I would be willing to, even for this, pay out the $50 or $80 to get the music box. Just because I don't know. It's kind of weird, because it's one of the games that has the music the most, but or has music be so important to it. You're literally tracking down music notes at one point. But I can't actually think of what I would want to listen to. Or I guess my next question would be, like, for that side quest, is like a track the like one bar of that, like when you pick it up, it plays a tones in order. So is that like considered a track? I don't know. That's weird. It's a weird one.
Side note, the Tad Tone side quest is literally the worst side quest in all of the Legend of Zelda. I hated that
so bad.
So much. Dan, you're finishing up playthrough of Skyward Sword HD now, but also during the day have a whole career in the business world. We've talked many times about Nintendo missing opportunities and seemingly passing up on a chance to just print off money. What do you think about them making stuff like this at a Japan-only exclusive?
I don't know. I think it's kind of bizarre, but at the same time too, like with production and shipping, like this doesn't really, like, just looking at it, it doesn't look to me like something that would be popular in the West. Like I personally think it's really cool. I would buy it, but I definitely wouldn't use it. Like it would just sit in a box on my shelf or something. And then I just have this, cool collector thing. Yeah, I don't know. Like I can't think of an actual reason why they would pass up on it. It just seems like such a missed opportunity for so many people.
One of the big criticisms of Nintendo is that they haven't made their music available digitally, and oftentimes they force people on YouTube to pull down videos with official copies of the soundtrack. And I think that's where, like you mentioned, or maybe Jacob mentioned, supply issues, but like it costs them nothing to make MP3 versions of this available online. And I can't for the life of me understand why Nintendo, like if they even just made it available for digital sales, they would sell stuff and it costs them nothing to do it. And I just don't understand it, but they will spend money on lawyers to threaten people to take music off YouTube, but they won't put it available online. And that just kills me. And I actually have purchased, aftermarket, or I guess like unofficial music boxes. Like I have a Song of Storms music box that I purchased that sits on my collection, and I listen to the, like I mentioned, the Skyward Sword Celebration DVD or CD all the time. I would absolutely listen to this. I just don't understand it. And look, we all agree Nintendo doesn't need our advice. Like they're making tons of money. They're killing it. They're the most successful video game company on the planet. But you know what? They have a reputation for not always being fan friendly, and I think this is a good example. Like Zelda fans are rabid for collectibles. Why make it so difficult? It just bothers me. So, any final thoughts on this story?
I'm just glad that you said that, because my next thing I was going to ask, like maybe you and Dan, about production value on having a digital download, and they'll still pay something, maybe not that much money, but they could, there you go, free money. Take my money.
I wonder if it has something to do with Nintendo's like unwillingness to let other people make a profit off of their things, and so they're like, well, if Apple gets a cut of the share, if iTunes, if whatever, Spotify, if they get a cut, then we don't want that. We want to get everything. So they're like, didn't Square Enix announce a like a music player for all of their stuff? Wasn't that a thing, Dan? Do you remember?
It sounds familiar, and I don't really remember it because it didn't interest me. But
okay, I'm pretty sure in their rage-inducing, I'm pretty sure that they, in that announcement where they ruined the collection, they also announced that they were making like a mobile app or something, and I kind of wonder if Nintendo wants to go that route in some way.
Oh.
But
I am glad that I'm not the only one that's still bitter about that collection.
No,
so thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. You made me feel so happy just saying that.
Every time they announce something about it, if I see it on like a promoted tweet on Twitter, I'm just like, grumble.
Well, Jacob, you bring up a good point. I've beat this drum to death, but Nintendo is unbelievably petty. And you know what? It would not surprise me at all if they just didn't want Apple to make even the slightest little profit off their stuff. That might be the answer right there. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we got just one more story for family news today. And we'll talk more about this in the Doc Mode segment. I'm really excited about this story, but I wanted to talk about it more generally. So the wireless 6-button Sega Genesis controller for Nintendo Switch will only be available in Japan. So this is from Jared Moore at IGN.com. Quote, the 6-button version of the wireless Sega Genesis controller for Nintendo Switch will seemingly only launch in Japan, while fans in the West will have to settle for the traditional 3-button option. As part of the recent Direct, it was announced that a range of Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games will be coming to Switch Online as part of a new membership expansion pack. Alongside its new service, Nintendo also announced that it would be launching new or perhaps old wireless Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis controllers. A Nintendo spokesman explained the decision to release the 3-button Sega Genesis controller in North America instead of the 6-button. Quote, for the US and Canada, A replica of the original Sega Genesis controller is the available model. This was by far the most widely used and well-known Sega Genesis controller in these regions. So, panel, for consideration, moving beyond the, missing out aspect of the story that we covered in the last story, do you think it makes sense for Nintendo to limit the 6-button controller option to Japan rather than making it available to the international market? Obviously, we'll be talking more about this story in dock mode, but are you excited for these wireless controllers, and how big of sellers do you think they'll be? So, Dan, you grew up playing Sega Genesis. What was your reaction to this story?
I only remembered having the 6-button controller for like Turbo, and I would like use the Turbo to glitch through walls in Sonic. So like I don't know, that it doesn't bother me as long as we get like some sort of Sega controller here. I'm happy.
Jacob, what about for you? Internationally, the 6-button controller was the most common. Is that odd that Nintendo would restrict that to just Japan?
No, actually, based off of our last discussion, it's not odd. It's very a Nintendo thing to do. But I'll be honest, and we'll get more into my opinions of this in dock mode. But I didn't even realize there was a 6-button Genesis controller. They showed, like you mentioned the 6-button, and I was like, didn't they show 6 buttons, or was it 3 buttons? I had no idea when they showed the controller. So I'm not a great take on this one, but no, I don't think it's odd at all that Nintendo would be weird and do something like this.
I'll just say, growing up, I had a Sega Genesis, and so of course the 3-button controller is familiar to me. So I'm kind of glad because I always associated 6-buttons controllers with aftermarket production. So I'm glad that I'm going to get the classic experience. That definitely pushes the nostalgia button for me. Stephanie, how popular do you think these the Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis wireless controllers will be for Switch Online?
I think they'd be pretty popular. I'll admit I haven't played Sega as a kid, so I don't know too much about that. But I just feel that this is targeting our generation, right? That's getting older, and even if we don't want to get the controller, say we think the N64 controller is garbage, like I bet the majority of people are still going to go buy them. I don't know. It's one of those things where we might go grumbling all the way, but we'll be grumbling while we buy it. It'll be interesting to see if it sells out immediately. Like, I'm curious to see how that rolls out, because it seems like everything these days that gets released, not just by Nintendo, but Sony and Microsoft, things are just sold out immediately. No one can get their hands on it. And I would like to think that, if they want a successful launch of expanding their online presence, that they would keep that in supply. But again, Nintendo does that with their Amiibo and not have things in supply, so I don't know.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. We talked earlier about Nintendo being not friendly to its fans. I really wish that they would put in stipulations that would require you to have a membership to purchase it, and limit how many you could order, because predatory scalpers, like, that just drives me crazy. And I am so excited about these. I can't wait to get my hands on it. And getting the Super Nintendo wireless remote took a long time because they were constantly sold out. And maybe that was scalpers, maybe it was just that it was popular, but it just frustrates me that Nintendo creates these issues when they don't need to be created. Jacob, you had a thought on that?
Yeah, so I did want to say they actually do. I don't know about like an amount that you can buy. Maybe they put that in if they're running low on stock, but you actually do at least require a paid Nintendo Switch Online membership, which again, we'll get into with dock mode, but it's not a whole lot right now to pay for one. So like, you could easily, if you're a scalper, and there's no limit on how many you could buy.
You bypass it.
Yeah, you pay it's like $5 a month or $1 a month or something. I don't remember what it is, but if you order, like, math it out. So like, it would be worth it to a scalper, right? If that's what they want to do, but they do at least require you to have a paid online membership with them. So they are kind of taking that into account. I'm still of the thought, though, of just make it ordered. Like, make it known, hey, you can order and pay for this now, and you will get it eventually. We promise.
Right.
But it
Why
might
not?
take a little bit. Like, I don't care. I'll wait 3 months, 5 months, 6 months for my controller, as long as I know that it's coming to me.
Absolutely. If I just knew that I was going to get it, I could wait. Especially with the Nintendo 64 controller, because that button arrangement is so unique that I don't think playing on the Pro controller is going to be a similar experience at all.
No. Nope.
Dan, how does do we have some perspectives in the chat?
Yeah. It just looks like Jack, our friend and also writer, he's kind of curious about this whole thing. He says he thinks it's foolish. Why would you buy a 3-button controller? And then Auditor 415 says you don't really need a 6-button controller unless if you're playing fighting games, which I believe Street Fighter 2 is the only fighting game on there.
Streets
of Rage.
Is it Streets? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's what the chat had to say.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, traditional fighting games are the sort of hole in my gaming history. So that did not occur to me. So great comments from the chat there. All right, well that is the end of Family News. So Jacob, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thank you so much, David. That sounded so ingenuine. I can't do the whole.
No, that's good.
All right. So now we're going to get into our docked mode. This week we're talking all about the September 23rd Nintendo Direct. Very juicy Direct for some people, very strange Direct for others, and just downright awful for even more. So from what I've seen on the internet, based off of certain things that we'll talk about. But so docked mode, wow! Elite Block Agents, we just had a Nintendo Direct on September 23rd, and what a Direct it was. We got remasters, ports, updates, movie casts, and an expansion to Nintendo Switch Online. We're here to discuss, adjust, and fully combust with our reactions. Well, not really combust, but speak about what we thought of in the show. You ready, agents? Let's go! So, yeah. Thank you. That was written by our lovely Ed. He's always with us, even when he's not here. I'm going into it. If y'all are okay with it, I'm not going to go in any sort of order. I'm just going to start like bringing up stuff. And if anyone has anything to say, feel free to chime in, please. But we'll start with the weirdest bit of news. I think we can all agree is the Mario movie casting. In a world that no one could possibly even begin to understand, we have Chris Pratt as Mario, Charlie Day taking on the role of Luigi, Anya Taylor-Joy taking on Princess Peach, Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, and Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, and a couple others, other noteworthy people in there, including, weirdly, Charles Martinet voicing someone, but not the people he's known for.
Right.
What do y'all think about this?
I kind of loved the cast. Like, it was really, everything was really surprising, especially like seeing all these really big names in it. I like Chris Pratt. I didn't realize the internet hated him until this happened.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time or energy to like waste on hating or liking celebrities. So I thought he was hilarious in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Like he could definitely do Mario and be funny. Charlie Day's Luigi is probably the most surprising one to me. I don't see how that works because Charlie has like I only know him from like the same character he plays in everything where he's screaming and loud and like high pitched.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't know. I don't see that with Luigi, but I love Jack Black as Bowser.
Oh,
yeah, I'm glad you started with that, Dan, because I felt like I had an unpopular opinion about being excited for it, with like an asterisk, like deep down, like I will not have high expectations of the actual movie itself, because any video game movie or show of any cast tends to not be so great. So I'm not going to set my expectations high, because what happens when we do that, we tend to get disappointed. But now that I moved that disclaimer out of the way, I'm totally psyched for it. Again, I too did not know the world hated Chris Pratt. I think he's flipping hilarious. I love him in Guardians of the Galaxy. But and then as they listed the cast members, like with Jack Black and Seth Rogen, I'm like, are they trying to make this more of like, when I say adult, I'm not going to say like it's 18 plus kind of movie, but I wonder if they're trying to do the dual, like it's a kids movie but with adult undertones or humor. Like just given that type of cast, like this almost like reads as a comedy.
Yeah, that cast definitely appeals very much to millennials.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm personally excited. I know they're probably many people have their own opinions, like, oh, they're just throwing money like at these celebrities just to push the product. What are they doing? Whatever. And I'm not trying to be a Nintendo apologist. I'm just excited by Jack Black and everything.
David, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. So just in terms of hating Chris Pratt, I think, without getting into it on the show, because it's really not the focus here, but for those that are wondering why, it's because of his political and religious views, which, whatever. That has nothing to do with Mario, but the internet's gonna internet. For me, I'm really encouraged by how much money Nintendo is throwing into its star power here. No pun intended for Mario. I'm speaking about this as a Zelda fan. My dream is to get a Zelda movie or a Zelda show. And
Yes.
So with the success of Castlevania, I think that sets the stage on one side as like really gritty adult, but anime. And then on the other side, if we have like this kid-friendly Mario movie that has kind of like star power and humor, I think Nintendo would have two, sort of models for how they could enact a Zelda show. We could have like, something like Wind Waker turned into something akin to the Mario movie, and something like Twilight Princess, produced out of like the Castlevania model. I really want this to go well, because if it fails and Nintendo's put that much money into the Mario movie, we are never getting a Zelda show. So that's where I'm coming from on this.
Thank you so much for mentioning that, because I was thinking about it and then it slipped my mind, because I just want to tell all those people, just shut up. They got to execute this so I can get my Zelda show. Just
That's
shut
right.
up. All right, Jacob,
well,
your words.
Yeah, so my biggest fear, I don't care at all about celebrities in general. I know Chris Pratt because I watched Parks and Rec, and I watched Guardians of the Galaxy. I had no idea that people hated him, like it seems like everyone here. But like my biggest fear knowing of the cast is that it's not going to be Mario. It's going to be Chris Pratt as Mario, as Chris Pratt. Like, or even Jack Black. Like Jack Black, I think, is like the best voice actor choice, and I'm worried that it's still going to be Bowser or Jack Black as Bowser as Jack Black, and I'm like, that's what I'm most afraid of here. I'm sure it's going to be. Although it is Miyamoto on it, which is a little worrisome. Not like other people of Nintendo, because he has a tendency to be very systematic. But I'm sure that it's going to be good. I feel like high hopes, low expectations. I feel like it's not going to be a huge blockbuster hit, but I'm sure it's going to be very profitable. I'm sure it's going to do a lot better than they even have hopes for. But it's not going to be like the big video game movie, like it's not going to blow people out of the water.
Do you think it'll match up against the Sonic movie?
So that's kind of an interesting question, because I think the Sonic movie had given like how terrible, quote unquote, the Sonic games are. I think the Sonic movie had the better, like, David and I were talking about it a little bit before the show, but like Sonic movie hit that circle of like being so bad that it was better than it should have been, and because of that it just kept going and kept going and kept getting, like, people were like, yes, it's great, it's fantastic. And I think that Mario doesn't have those low expectations, right? Because people hear Sonic game and they're like, oh yeah, okay, it'll be like a solid 7. But Sonic, yeah, Mario's just like the hype is a lot, and it's gonna be a lot to live up to.
Yeah. I mean, I just want a fun movie. Like, I'm not looking for a blockbuster hit or anything. You know what I mean? Like, I think people put way too much stock into like how good something has to be. Like, it's a Mario movie. Like, I just, I just want to like enjoy myself watching it, and that's it. Like, it's silly characters jumping around and rescuing a princess from Bowser.
Oh yeah.
Can I just jump in and just say, as a parent, I definitely would take my 2 kids to see it, and they're gonna want to buy the DVD. I could tell you already. So it's like, Nintendo's got an opportunity here. Don't blow it, Nintendo.
So, and it's funny that you say that, or that you mentioned that with the budget, because hearing these names also makes me worried that like Illumination has stepped in to be like, well, let's spend a lot of the budget on these big names and hoping that they'll carry it. But it's not. It's an animated movie. Big names don't do great at an animated movie. Like, you get actual voice actors for animated movies, and that's a big fear as well. But I did want to ask, I asked this in chat, and I wanted to ask y'all, is there anyone that you would recast immediately after seeing this that you would be like, no, this person would be way better at that role?
I'm sad that we're not getting the traditional voice of Mario. And that's nothing against Chris Pratt, but it's just like growing up with, watching the Mario cartoon or, even the original cheesy movie. Like, I don't know. That was one thing that I'm a little unsure of.
That's fair. I kind of thought when they announced Charles Martinet as being like behind, like, he'll pop up here and there, my first thought was, well, why isn't he just playing Mario? Like, let all these other people play other parts, but like, why can't he just play Mario? That's what he does as a living. So
yeah,
it's a little strange.
I know he's like canceled and banished into existence, but I think Michael Richards, aka Kramer, would have been a perfect Luigi.
Oh my God, that would be a great casting.
Okay, so enough about the Mario movie. Something really important to me, and I think Dan now as well. They opened up the Direct, which blew my mind, with Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, a new massive paid DLC expansion for Monster Hunter Rise, introducing what looked like a brand new, possibly Elder Dragon. I'm not entirely sure what they've got it classified as. Considering it took on Rathalos and just wiped it out of the sky, it's probably an Elder Dragon. But that... Dan, what did you think? What you're excited for this, right? You're now like fully in on Monster Hunter.
I am. And like, it's still new to me. And like, so when that came on, I was like, oh, Rathalos, that's great. And then when it got its ass kicked, I was like, yes. so like, I'm all in. I'm super excited for this. I can't wait for it to come out. I've been playing Rise a lot lately after beating Monster Hunter Stories 2, and now I'm like so much more familiar with, the monsters, and that's where the game shines, as the monsters, and I'm getting used to, the combat and everything. But man, I'm really into this, and like, I'm gonna keep playing Rise, and once this comes out, I hope I'm ready.
I'm sure you will be. Stephanie, David, are y'all into Monster Hunter at all? Are you excited with this? So, full disclosure, when it first opened up, I thought they were announcing Monster Hunter like a hunter generic as the next Smash Brothers fighter.
I thought so too.
Oh my god.
They typically do Smash Fighters first in the Direct as like the opening thing. And so I got really excited, but then I was even more excited when it was a new DLC. But do y'all care about this at all? Are you excited for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak?
Go ahead,
Go for it.
David.
I have some thought. Oh, okay, I'll jump in. Yeah, so here's the thing. Like, my kids love Monster Hunter. I have not played it just because I just don't have time. But here's, as an unapologetic Nintendo fanboy, I am thrilled that there's, another franchise that Nintendo is really staking out as, a part of its collection. And the fact that we're getting, more DLC for Monster Hunter, I think is great for the company and continues to build Nintendo's brand. And particularly, Monster Hunter Rise is one of the few brands, we could throw Bayonetta and Zelda in there as like serious brands and not just like the kid reputation that Nintendo often gets. So I'm excited to see it get more, and I'm curious if this will at all like impact its nomination for Game of the Year. So that's kind of something that I was wondering a little bit out as I saw that, and I'm happy about it.
That's a really good point. So my point of view is definitely from an outsider. I just have had no interest in the Monster Hunter series. It just wasn't my jam, and that's what I wanted to say as part of what made me really enjoy the Direct was that they opened it with this. This opening made me want to finally get into Monster Hunter. I don't know how or why. I don't know if it's the cinematics or it was great. I think that it was just a great game and topic to open with, because I believe Monster Hunter used to be more of a niche game, and now it's starting to become a little bit more mainstream. And this was that final hook that's getting me like, I kind of want to buy it now. So that's what I have to say. And I honestly, that already put me on like the positive mindset for this Direct. I think it was well done.
Excellent. Always love to have new hunters. If you need anyone to Sherpa you, we've got Laron, myself.
Yeah. Between
the two of us, we probably have millions of hours in the Monster Hunter series. I love, unapologetically love Monster Hunter as a series. I've played as many of them as I could get my hands on. Some of them were Japan only, and I'm not savvy enough to import those. But this is just, I'm so excited for it. I'm a little concerned that it's going to bring in like the wrath of the internet of like, oh, the game wasn't finished, you have to get this new DLC expansion pass thing, and that's why it was so bad, and blah blah blah.
I hate when people say that. That drives me crazy. Like, don't complain when you get more good stuff for your franchise.
I know.
But doesn't Monster Hunter always do that, though? Like, have expansion passes?
So, what's interesting, and the West is not used to this, because the West usually gets, in the past, before Monster Hunter World, which was like the big, everyone in the West started paying attention to Monster Hunter now, Japan would get like Monster Hunter, and then they would get a version called Monster Hunter G, which would be a totally new, not totally new, it'd be like the exact same game, but with all this new content added, the exact same price, $60. So you'd have to buy it again. The West would only get that upgraded version, right? So Rise is, and the same thing happened with Monster Hunter World, sort of, where they had World and then they had Iceborne, and this is kind of that same process of they have Rise and now they've got Sunbreak, because they didn't add a G or Ultimate rank in with the latest update for Monster Hunter Rise. So this is probably where that's going to come from. Frankly, Capcom has made it very well known that they can do this, because they did it with Monster Hunter World, like I said, with Iceborne. So this isn't anything so much so new, but it is kind of new for the Western audience. But super exciting. It is going to be released in summer of 2022, probably alongside the PC release. So if you didn't want to pick this up on the Nintendo Switch, you can pick it up on PC when it comes out as well. But yeah, be looking forward to more Monster Hunter news, because the game's amazing and everyone should try it out. It's an excellent entry point into the series.
Yeah, Jacob, since you mentioned Iceborne, Geekro, which I believe is Jack, right? He asked how much are you expecting to pay for this expansion, and our good buddy auditor Pat was guesstimating it at about $40 like Iceborne. So what do you think?
I would say that's probably accurate. I kind of would put it on more like a $30 range, just because even though it is going to be coming to PC, the Switch is still, even though the game runs and looks beautiful on the Switch, it's still very much the Switch, so it's not as powerful. So I don't think there's as much that they can like pack into this. So I put it more respectfully at $30, but I would be looking to pay around that amount. Yeah.
And Jack also asked, does it warrant the money? Like, does Iceborne warrant
Absolutely. If you own Monster Hunter World, so number one, you have to have the base world expand game to play Iceborne. So you should absolutely buy Iceborne if you already have World. If you don't, you can typically find deals that include both of them for around $40 to $60 instead of paying the $60 or whatever for the original game and then the expansion. On the internet somewhere you can find those deals, but yes, it very much is so. And if you played Rise and you go back and play Iceborne, you'll see where a lot of the like mechanics in Rise kind of came from in that expansion. So the biggest mechanic being the wire bugs in Rise, and you kind of see the start of that in Iceborne, which is really cool.
Nice.
So there was Monster Hunter Rise. We also had at the very tail end, so that was the beginning of the direct. At the very end, we had the announcement of Bayonetta 3, which for me really confused me at first, because at first I thought it was Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and was really excited for Dan, and then I thought it was Astral Chain 2 because they showed the little dog, and then Bayonetta looking incredible in her new outfit and style came in to just wow everyone. Panel, what do y'all think? Bayonetta 3 finally got kind of a release date.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I just want to toot my own horn here that we had a little bit of a small roundtable of predictions, and I was like, Bayonetta 3, they're gonna show either a release date or a trailer. So
nice.
No, I think it's great.
Bayonetta doesn't do anything for me. I haven't played any of the games, so
well, you can get them all on Nintendo Switch once this releases.
I already own Bayonetta 1 and 2 on the Switch, and I just haven't played it yet.
David?
I'll just say that, and again, I'm not a huge Bayonetta fan, but I am happy that this means Nintendo is emptying its backlog a little bit, because we've been hearing about this game forever. It makes me hope that Metroid Prime 4 is coming out soon. And also Breath of the Wild 2. Like, I'm ready for Nintendo to move its calendar along a little bit, and I feel like we've all been kind of holding our breath waiting for some of these big games. So I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this, and I'm excited that it seems like we're finally seeing some forward progress.
Okay. Well, very cool. The biggest takeaway for me, I'm kind of in the same boat as Dan, where like I had Bayonetta 1, and then it didn't really hook me into it, but man, Bayonetta and Bayonetta 3's style is, man, she looking like she's gonna take everybody out. She looks so good in that game. A couple like smaller games, Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars. Anybody interested in this one? This is a spellbinding experience from the creative minds at Yoko Taro and Yosuke Saito. It's a kind of an card-based RPG. Anyone?
Card games don't do it for me.
So I would say normally no, but first of all, I just want to give a shout out to Shane because he wrote an awesome editorial a little while ago about card-based games, and when I read it, it made me curious about them because I've personally never played. Well, not counting real-life Pokemon cards back in the day, but if we're talking about video games. And believe it or not, I am part of a D&D group. And I was like, well, you know what? I think I might give it a shot. Because I can't say no to a new-to-me genre. It won't be a day-one purchase, but I'm definitely considering it. Maybe like months down the line once it comes out.
Okay. We've got Triangle Strategy. They're still sticking with that name, apparently. From Square Enix. Tactics RPG. Kind of similar art style to Octopath Traveler. Anybody interested in this one at all?
Oh, of course I am.
Yeah, this one does it for you, but cards don't? Okay. Let me hear it.
Well, come on. I mean, Final Fantasy Tactics is like one of my favorite games. I still play Fire Emblem, and it came out 2 years ago. Like, these games are just incredible. One thing that I really like that Square Enix is doing is like releasing some demos a year before the game actually comes out. They did the same thing with Bravely Default 2. And there was a lot of criticisms in the demo for that. I didn't even like it. And when the actual game came out, I bought it, and it's one of my favorite games that I played this year. And if they're going to take basically, I can take away that Square is going to do exactly what they did with Bravely Default and actually, listen to the fans and like reflect what they did. This is going to be a great game as well. So I'm super excited for it. I do hope they change the name though. But like the art style, the style of game, I mean, this game just, I feel like it was made for me.
Well, Octopath Traveler never changed, so I don't know if you're just getting your hopes up for nothing there.
No, I mean, they did say in the announcement that they're releasing a new demo with updates based off the feedback from the first demo.
Okay. David, Stephanie, anything? Triangle Strategies? Nothing?
No, there's a couple other games that I'm really looking forward to commenting on from the Direct, but this one is not it.
Well, okay,
Same here.
so go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying I am happy that this is proving to be very diverse Direct. Just want to point that out. Lots of different things for different people.
Yeah, for sure.
And Nintendo killed it with that. Like they really, that's why I honestly think this is one of the top 5 Directs in my opinion, because they had so much in it that they literally had to schedule other Directs to make it work. Like we're gonna have this whole separate Smash Direct, or we're gonna have this whole separate. They had multiple of those throughout the thing. So I thought it was fantastic.
Well, speaking of that, we did get, so like you said, Smash Brothers. We're going to be having a Mr. Sakurai Presents on October 5th, revealing the final DLC fighter for Super Smash Brothers. Look forward to more coverage to that over on bossrush.net. Another very exciting announcement.
It's going to be Waluigi, by the way.
Oh, it won't be Waluigi. There's no way. Any guesses?
No way.
Any guesses on what it will actually be?
Waluigi.
It will actually be Master Hand. It's going to be Master Hand. That's going to be Sakurai putting himself in the game as the glove from the classic final boss. It's going to be Master Hand.
I was hoping for something like that.
I got I think they announced Dying Light after this, which I don't know if any of y'all are excited about that, but when I was like shouting out, we were sitting in the middle of one of the countries in Epcot watching this Direct. We like sat down and stopped Disney stuff to watch this, and I was shouting at my phone about how like whatever they talk about next is gonna be what it is, and it needs to be Kingdom Hearts. And then because I really want Sora in Smash Brothers, then they did I think Dying Light, and then right after Dying Light, I don't know if any of y'all are super into that. I've never been a big fan of first-person parkour games. I think the only game that's done that well is Mirror's Edge. And any first-person game that has a lot of movement like Dying Light and Dying Light 2 has, I think, is just asking for, like, nausea. But then they also announced, as like a tease to me, they announced that Disney Parks weird thing that's coming over from the 3DS, Disney's Magical World 2, which I thought was pretty interesting and kind of appropriate for me, but I don't think there's anyone on this panel that's like super duper excited about that. But
no.
It's funny. My kids love Disney Plus, and they love their Switches, and I don't think that will hit at all in spite of those demographics. So I want to know like who's this game for?
Probably people who like Animal Crossing and like Sims related games, like those style of games. I think would get a big kick out of that one. But it's just interesting to see another game coming from the 3DS, but they haven't brought like Metroid: Samus Returns from the 3DS or anything actually worthwhile coming from that series.
A Link Between Worlds.
Yeah, A Link Between Worlds, Fantasy Life, just a number of things. There was also another announcement within an announcement. Animal Crossing, we're getting Brewster, the coffee bird, the coffee owl, or pigeon, I guess. that announcement's coming. Another announcement for more details on that is coming in November. Who's excited for this? Who's ready to dive back into Animal Crossing?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on that because, my wife kind of always rolls her eyes when I'm doing video game coverage. But I had mentioned to her that there's going to be this whole Animal Crossing Direct, and she's like, "Oh, really?" And she was like, she's like, "I might actually watch that." And she has some friends that the only Nintendo that they play is Animal Crossing, and she was like talking about like maybe having like a watch party of it. So it's like,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I really think like it was smart of Nintendo to do that, and I am curious because we know that it's one of the best-selling games of all time for Nintendo. Having its own direct, like I'm hoping this is part of a recommitment to support that game, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So,
Stephanie, Dan,
oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I feel really bad. I actually don't have much to contribute to this because, believe it or not, shocker, I've not played Animal Crossing.
that's actually.
Oh,
really
you didn't
shocking.
get into it during the pandemic?
No, no, I know it's crazy. It's almost like I'm ashamed to admit that.
I feel like Animal Crossing has like a 95% attach rate to the Nintendo Switch. So how,
I guess it's have some sort of immunity, you know.
Apparently, because that thing took over like a plague almost. Dan, what about you? Animal Crossing, Brewster?
I'm pretty hyped for it. I have like a really like built up island. My fiance and I played it together like through the pandemic. We went hard. I mean, we were like going to other people's islands for bells and making sure we buy turnips every Sunday morning. But like we got to the point where there's nothing more to buy, there's nothing more to build on, and it's kind of like I just don't want to keep logging in and catching a bug even though I have 15 million bells. So there's kind of just nothing for me right now, except growing green mums, which I just don't want to do. But yeah, like I hope it's something great. I do want to get back into the game. It was a cool, relaxing game, and like I do like playing it with my partner,
So does anybody, I have like a little bit of existential dread that they've announced they're going to have more to talk about, and then it's still not going to live up to people's expectations of what they want. Almost kind of like the idea like they've kind of missed the boat already for updating the game, so anything that they bring is just not going to be enough. Do any of you feel that way?
No, I actually don't think that's going to be the case, because I think if they were just going to do basically a seasonal update like they've been doing, they would have included that in this direct. There's no reason to separate it out unless it's a major overhaul of the game, and I would be pretty surprised if it's just like a, hey, we're adding this one character and a few extra bells and whistles.
Oh, and you know what? Sorry, I just want to mention I'm a little behind. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Eddie again. He actually, predicted a Monster Hunter Rise update, and then Jack was the one who anticipated or predicted an Animal Crossing update. So
Nice.
you know what we're talking about.
Awesome. Well, so Animal Crossing, the second best-selling game on Switch, second only to the amazing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which we're all craving for Mario Kart 9. So naturally, Nintendo gives us the super incredible Chocobo GP or Grand Prix. This came out kind of out of left field for me. I was it's incredibly cute, and I'm excited to play races like Steiner. I think was on there from Final Fantasy IX.
Vivi was on there too, wasn't he?
I definitely saw Vivi. A lot of just really weird picks for characters. This looks so cute, but I'm not entirely sure if it's going, like, the item system seems very convoluted with its upgrading your items. I don't know if this has even the staying power to, like, touch Mario Kart. Yeah, exactly. Like David said, just like a thumbs down. Other than just being really cute, the coolest thing about it is up to 64 players can compete in a bracket tournament. So like
that's so cool.
That's not even something that Mario Kart has. Is they have like tournaments, but I think it's only 16, And it's just such a weird thing for Final Fantasy to announce, like, or for Square Enix to announce for the Final Fantasy series, especially since the main character of the game, the titular character Chocobo, I think he just rollerblades. If y'all saw
I
that.
saw that.
Yeah, he doesn't even have a cart. He's just rollerblading around. Meanwhile, there's all these other characters in like actual cars. Racing against them.
I had to rewatch that because I think some of you might have known this because I think I was communicating with you, David. Like, I had a date scheduled. Like, I was going on a date, and the date was like 6:30, and the direct started at 6, but I had time to drive, and I had seriously considered canceling or pushing the date back. I'm like, I gotta watch this. But like, it's okay, it's fine. I'll just put it on my phone and I'll watch it for like a little while. And then bring it in the car with me. And I think it was around that time when they talked about this Chocobo racing game as I was getting into the car. And maybe that's why I'm like, maybe I'm not hearing this right. Like, why is this on roller skates? And I need to go back and watch it. And I'm like, sounds like some of these power-ups are a lot like those boxes in Mario Kart. I don't know.
It definitely has
Meanwhile,
a Mario Kart vibe.
I'm over here getting old, waiting for Diddy Kong's Racing to come back. So
I would rather have that, to be honest with you. But
yeah,
hey, that could be in the Switch Online update.
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah.
So your
and then we remember Nintendo's petty and doesn't give us what we want.
Yeah,
so.
but that's not Nintendo. That's Rare. So Microsoft and them, they're like buddies now.
But we are getting a Rare game.
We are.
Yeah.
We're getting Banjo-Kazooie.
So putting the cart before the horse. No, that's correct. I always say
that was
backwards.
a nice transition
Thank
there.
you,
I see what you did.
Totally ruined it by talking about it. But Nintendo Switch Online is getting an update. Finally,
Woohoo!
Not the rumored Game Boy and Game Boy Advance collection that's been leaking around.
Yeah.
But it is two. It's Nintendo 64. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And the Sega Genesis collection.
I'm trying to contain my excitement. Because again, let me just give people a perspective that didn't actually watch the direct and just got the news from our website. You should check out our website, bossrush.net. Nintendo knows how to do this to us. Do you guys remember how they opened this? Do you guys remember? They started playing the title.
Was it Ocarina?
Yeah.
Yep, the title track. Is that what you call it? The track of whatever. To Ocarina of Time, and I screamed out loud in my house. I'm like, oh, we're getting Ocarina of Time on the Switch. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. You know how to do it.
I missed that. That's so interesting. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out now.
I thought it was gonna be like a Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask thing. Sell it for $60, but then it kept coming out. I was like, oh, thank God.
Well, yeah, that was like Nintendo's way around. Remember, I think it was during E3 where they're like, oh, here's this little watch and play for the 35th anniversary. There's going to be nothing else for this anniversary. So I'm like, oh, I'll never see anything Zelda for the rest of the year. But like, oh, this is just part of their Plus expansion pack.
I'm so excited to play Majora's Mask again. You have no idea. I haven't played it since the N64 days.
And can I just say, too, that, Zelda fans will know this, that the 3DS HD version, many people actually feel is far worse than the original Majora's Mask game because of some of the changes that they made. So I'm really excited that we're going to get an opportunity to play the Nintendo 64 version of Majora's Mask, which is significantly better. So I'm excited about that.
So talking about Nintendo 64 coming to Switch Online, the launch titles are Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, Yoshi's Story, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Winback Covert Operations, Mario Tennis, Dr. Mario 64, and Sin and Punishment, which I'm super excited about. Along with many of those other ones. And then future releases for N64 include Majora's Mask, which we've mentioned, Mario Golf, Pokemon Snap, F-Zero X, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Paper Mario, Banjo-Kazooie, and then Japan only, Custom Robo and Custom Robo V2, which now I have to go pay for a Japan subscription because I love the Custom Robo series. So we're great games like Dan said earlier, Banjo-Kazooie coming in the future, possibly because of how close Nintendo and Microsoft are.
That's such a good sign. Oh.
I go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You got it.
I do wonder. So it's weird because you can buy Banjo and Kazooie on Xbox, or at least you can buy the Rare Replay, which has that, and now you're getting that as part of a service from Nintendo. I wonder. There's a part of me that wonders, like, did they have to make it a price increase because part of it has to go to Rare, or did they? I mean, is Nintendo just being Nintendo? They were going to price increase it anyways, and maybe part of that also is that it's going to Rare, but they were going to do it anyways. Because that's such a weird thing for us. Like, Rare games have kind of not really ceased to exist, but they've been very hard they've been slow coming. And then, like, to get a game, like, this is basically everyone's, like, dream in 64 Classic lineup, right? Like, they really came out swinging with this one.
Well, there's not a lot of games on N64, so it's hard to miss.
Donkey Kong Country 64 and Glover are not on here, so
Glover.
Shut your mouth.
Glover was
Okay.
weird. That was like a weirdly nightmarish game, and I do hope it comes to the N64 Classic.
and all the other 64, Wave Race 64. I mean, that would be
a big one.
That would be.
Can I just say that whatever licensing fees it costs would be more than made up for in subscriptions if they would give us multiplayer GoldenEye online.
Okay. When's the last time you played GoldenEye 64?
Look, I'm telling you though, the nostalgia factor would get people to sign up for a year subscription just for that alone.
Yep.
It's so bad.
So go ahead.
No, I just think that people would do it. I think it would be so fun. Like, it's the same reason that the little mini consoles sell. It's pure nostalgia.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think would be a fair price point in this increase? Because I think right now it's is it like $40 a year?
$35 a year for the entire family. I think it's like let me look it up while y'all are.
It's 35 for the family plan and 20 for an individual plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, if you get a group of people to go in on that, that's like, I think it's like less than a penny per month, or less than a quarter per month for if everyone joins in and pays for it for the family plan. But like Stephanie said, like Geek Bro in chat asked, what are y'all thinking for this price increase? Now I know we've gone on the record as saying, like, make it $60, we don't care, we'll pay for it. But realistically, what do y'all really think that the price increase for this will be? Because Nintendo has their online service is not great, even with the games that they kind of give you as part of it. But they're also the cheapest on the market. You can't even get close to them for Microsoft and Sony. So where are we thinking?
Well, given that I think Microsoft is $65 a year now, if it might be 70, I can't remember with my latest sign up, and that doesn't even include Game Pass on top of it, right? So, realistically, your typical person's going to have Game Pass and your live subscriptions. So you're paying around $80 a year. I think for the N64 expansion pass and the Sega expansion pass, which we haven't really talked about. I think an extra $10 a month is probably the most that people are going to be able to pay without getting really grouchy about it. That's what I think.
I was going to say the same thing. 30 for individual, 45 for family. And I will happily pay that for Paper Mario, so we're good.
Yeah, especially if they continue to release games occasionally, going forward. And this is just kind of the beginning. I know maybe non-Nintendo fans would just actually poo-poo on this and be like, what took them so long? Their online service sucks. And it's not great. I'm not going to say that it's perfect, but I just think, breath of fresh air. This is kind of the step in the right direction. If they bump it up like 10, $15 like you guys are saying, like I would say it's totally worth it, and I would hope and expect to get more games from both. So we'll see.
So
heck, maybe even the Game Boy stuff that's been rumored. But let's take one rumor at a time. All right, sorry, Jacob.
That's okay. So speaking, like David said, they did also announce part of this was the Sega Genesis collection. Those launch titles include Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hardcore, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, or Puyo Puyo in Japan, Echo the Dolphin, Golden Axe, Gunstar Heroes, Musha, Phantasy Star 4, Rystar, Shining Force, Shinobi 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Streets of Rage, and Strider. Now, I did not have a Sega Genesis. I first got introduced to Sega even as a gaming company with Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast from my cousin. So I know pretty much next to nothing when it comes to Sega related things. But David, I think you're pretty excited about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually the lineup that they promised so far isn't actually a lineup that I'm excited about, but Nintendo releases pretty random SNES and NES games, so I'm hoping to see actually the classic helicopter games, Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, and Urban Strike for Sega were some of my favorites growing up. And some of the Sega sports games I would love to see on there. I just think that would be so fun to get to play Sega sports games against other people online would just be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the lineup's okay. Shinobi's great. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is probably one of my favorite Sonic. I think it is my favorite Sonic, or maybe 3. I don't know. I like them both. Streets of the Rage is going to be a blast. And I love any Puyo Puyo Tetris, so sign me up. I'm just kind of excited to see what random games pop on there.
Yeah.
One game I grew up playing that probably nobody has heard of is called Dynamite Headdy, and I hope that somehow makes its way on there. Given how random games are, I might have a chance.
So, Stephanie, are you excited about Sega Genesis coming to the Nintendo Switch Online?
I am, because I never had the chance to play those games growing up. So I'm like, great, this is another opportunity to, expose me to these games. And I'm hoping there's an audience kind of like myself that didn't have the chance to, and now it's available. But I guess my question is, and again, it's because I haven't played the Sega games. Aren't Sega games available to play on other platforms currently? Like accessible other ways other than just emulation?
Well, I was going to bring up too that there's that Sega, or the Sonic Generations, or not Generations. It's like a Sonic collection. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised to see Sonic 2 on there with that game coming out in early 2022.
And Stephanie, there is a Sega mini console like the Nintendo console as well.
So with that in mind, I crackpot theory, Sega being bought by Nintendo? There's not a Sega, other than Sega producing their own thing, there's not a Sega Genesis collection, I don't think, on any other console. So why are Sega and Nintendo so buddy-buddy with this? How did this come into existence? When they used to be the competitors, why is this suddenly a thing? Do we think they're in talks for becoming a second-party company for Nintendo?
I thought there was Sega collections on other consoles.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the biggest. I know I like Sonic. I got introduced to Sonic with the Sonic Master Collection or Sonic Mega Collection on the GameCube, and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle or Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast. The first Sega console that I was ever introduced to. So I'm not super sure about that, but I didn't think there was. I didn't think there was any sort of
so I'm looking at it right now. It's on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, and it has 40 Sega games, and it has Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Galaxy Force, all the Golden Axe games, Phantasy Star games, Shining Force, Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Spinball, Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, Toe Jam and Earl. Oh, damn. Love that game.
That'll come to Switch Online.
Vector Man.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Oh, I loved Vector Man.
Oh,
that was
and it had Dynamite Heady. I guess I have to buy this
Hey,
now.
there you go. Can I tackle your crackpot
go
theory,
for
Jacob?
it. Crackpot away.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's been a lot this last week of people making fun of Nintendo fans for getting excited about these online memberships. But here's the thing. Nintendo knows their customer, and they know that nostalgia is a big part of the market demographic that's loyal to and buys Nintendo stuff. And so the Sega Nintendo console wars were definitely part of an era of growing up for a lot of people. And so, a lot of folks couldn't have both Sega and Nintendo. You had to pick one or the other. You were a Sega house or Nintendo house. So I think in a way, providing both of these online is a little bit of a chance to catch lightning in a bottle again and go back and experience childhood and feel like you have both. And I just think it's a smart move for Nintendo. And, people can laugh all they want, but I think Nintendo's smart.
Well, I will say I'm very happy for everybody excited for this. This is 100% not for me. I just don't care. Like, I really hope that there's an option to only pay for Nintendo 64 games, because the Sega games, I might not even download the app, to be perfectly honest with you, unless they introduce the Dreamcast, which is the only thing that I care about for them. But they are doing the controllers, the Sega Genesis controller, which we talked about, the 6 versus 3 button layout, and an N64 controller, the classic Trident 3-prong weird controller. David, I know you were talking about certain games being strange to play without having that weird layout of the N64, and I just played through Ocarina of Time on the GameCube version, and man, the C buttons are so much smoother than that C stick for that game, especially. So is either of these controllers, are these going to be day one purchases for y'all?
Oh, 100%. I've already collected the NES and SNES ones, and the Switch is like my Nintendo dream console. Like it gives me access to everything. It's like my entire childhood and adult years wrapped up in one console. So I absolutely will be getting it. And Ocarina of Time is specifically the game I was thinking of. You mentioned that, Jacob, that like I want those C buttons.
Yeah, it's going to be a day one purchase for me. I just wanted to give Geek Bro another shout out. He says he only played DK64 on the Wii U, so maybe I needed the N64 controller to play it correctly. So there will be certain games that the controller just might be better, no matter how awkwardly handled that it is. But just as a side note, real quick, and I guess this includes the controllers themselves, like not just being a fan of those games, and again them targeting our demographic, like. Great, we can now cash in on these people for a second time in a row, first in their childhood, now in their adulthood. But also, this is a move towards video game preservation, and I'm becoming very passionate about it.
That's a great point.
Yeah. The Nintendo 64 controller is the worst monstrosity that ever was made, and I'm going to buy it day one. I can't wait.
Yes, excellent. Me as well. I have to get that N64 controller. If not, because I actually like it a lot. I like that controller. I'd never, we've talked about it before, I've never understood why the D-pad section was there, but just because
all three hands that you have, it's great.
Yeah, I know, right? I've got my two, and then the one coming out of my stomach that holds on to that in the joystick part. But if not to have it and play it, just to like kind of like what David said, to complete my collection of SNES, NES, and now N64 controller. Another thing that they talked about was Super Mario or Mario Party Superstars. They announced 3 more boards coming with that game, which includes Woody Woods, Yoshi's Tropical Island, and Horrorland. They also talked about how you can go to Mount Minigames for minigame action and a variety of courses. This is coming out October 29th. Who's jumping in to play some Mario Party Superstars?
So I'm raising my hand not for this, and I'm sorry. I need to be better at like this back and forth, but I just want to give one more shout out to... Don't kill me, guys. Block Block's gaming reviews because he wrote an article about his wish list for the N64, and I'm pretty sure he called out the majority of what did end up getting announced. So I just want to give him credit because he's very talented. He knows what he's talking about. And if not for like the 5th time to plug, please give our articles a read because they're good stuff. So anyway, I'm so sorry. We'll get back to Mario Party. For me, I'll just say it right now. It might not be day one purchase just because I'm pretty late to these multiplayer games. I already have my Mario Kart. I already have the last Mario Party, but I do like it. I'll eventually get it, but you know.
I'm incredibly excited for this. It was a real bummer that Mario Party or Super Mario Party didn't have online. Well, it had online, but it was awful because it wasn't full minigame mode. So them bringing that alone was reason enough for me to buy this. But the fact that it's bringing back just all the classic, again, N64 games into one kind of bundle is super cool. Including the fact that I think you can save your games mid gameplay. So like if you and your friends decide that you don't want to continue on for the night, you can save your game, come back to that board game later. Dan, David, Mario Party?
Yes. I unapologetically love Mario Party games. I even like the one that's on Switch, which is like pretty roundly renowned as like the worst one. But like I enjoy that one, so I'm super excited for it, and I'm glad you don't have to use motion controls as well.
I'm gonna say no. I've never been excited for Mario Party games. I will add one more game though to Nintendo 64 online that I really want to see, and that's Smash 64. I would love to see that on there.
Oh,
put that out there.
I'm like incredibly good at Smash 64. Like in college, we played this like every single day, hours upon hours. Like characters had 40,000 kills on my cartridge.
Oh man!
Like,
oh my gosh!
I really hope Smash 64 comes and we can play online because I will.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
I will never play another game again.
I am so on there. I will be part of that group because I don't know. I've never been that great at Smash since that came out, but I dominated 64. That was probably my favorite iteration of it.
Oh yeah, and I'm a Jigglypuff main.
What?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
The only correct answer is Link on Hyrule Castle or Corneria or whatever the ship was.
Link is terrible.
And get someone in the corner,
Pikachu all the
man.
way, Pikachu.
No, Link.
Oh, Pikachu is good. Pikachu's really good in 64.
All right, Dan. We'll all have to play. I'll main some Link. Jacob and I can main some Link on 64.
Yep.
If and when it comes out.
Oh, it sure will. Snowboard Kids is another one that needs to come to the N64 online. Let's see. We've got so probably the most exciting and unexpected announcement: Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yes.
This looks like they took the idea for Mario Odyssey and then was like, let's throw Kirby on it. And it looks so good. It's incredibly cute. Exactly what you want from a Kirby game. Panel, thoughts?
Yes, and more yes. It's Kirby's now due for his time, and I'm definitely getting the Mario Odyssey vibes from it. Even though I didn't completely I wasn't completely smitten over Odyssey, but I just love the premise. I love and can't wait to see what Kirby can do here. So I'm definitely getting this. It's spring 2022, I believe. Which, by the way, I think 2022 is going to be one of the biggest years that we've seen in a while.
Another side note? Can we talk about how they were like, this is about winter games? Games coming out in winter of 2021, and then it was just like, hey, 2022, 2022, 2022.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe it's all January.
Maybe. But this is go ahead.
I'm definitely buying the Kirby game day one. I'm really excited to see it in a 3D environment. I played a lot of Kirby games on Game Boy as a kid, and I'm just excited for it. I think it just looks like a fun game, and I'm just excited to play it. So
Kirby games always have been just kind of boring for me. So It looks. I'm glad they're taking a cool new direction with it, but I don't know if I'll be picking it up.
I do.
Can I just add? Oh,
No, go ahead.
sorry, Jacob. Just one more thing. I think it was Stealth on Twitter that pointed this out. It's one of Nintendo's oldest franchises, but it comes after Mario and Donkey Kong and some of these other ones that, and it's taken the longest to make its way to 3D, which is kind of interesting.
Mm.
To like 3D, like running around 3D?
Of the 2D franchises that moved to 3D, so Zelda, Mario, Metroid, Kirby was it's in spite of coming out after those games, it's gone 30 years without being moved into 3D.
Yes.
I was gonna say, isn't Crystal Shards like it was supposed to be 3D, but it's not really?
It's that 2.5D where it's like there's
Mm-hmm.
a foreground and background that you can kind of move between, but it's not.
I thought there was a Mario 64-ish type game on N64 with Kirby.
That's what Kirby and the Crystal Shards is commonly thought of that, and I think there were some segments where you could go kind of 3D, but it was very much on in a hallway. It wasn't like a 3D open kind of world that you get where you can kind of just choose where you want, pick a spot and go to it. This is incredibly exciting for me. I love Kirby as a character. He's canonically the most powerful character in all of Nintendo lore. And there's been a lot of talks, including like Geek Bro pointed out, that it might look kind of more like it might be from 3D World or Bowser's Fury, but I really would love to see them just go all out and make this a full, like being able, there's like a cityscape, or like a rundown cityscape, because it's the Forgotten Land, and I would love to be able to just Kirby float up to the top of those buildings and find things throughout the world. Also, I'd love a throwback to, and I think it's from Crystal Shards, but a throwback to, I want to say it's Planet Freeze Star, but it's basically like Planet Earth, but if it was like frozen over. So I kind of hope that they give a throwback to that in this one. Any other last thoughts on this?
I have some gripes with the direct, but whenever we're ready to get to that.
Yeah. I do want to shout out two other things before we get into like any specific things. We had 2 DLC announcements, including Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which included a new DLC pass, which I believe made it look like we could play as young Prince Sidon. I thought that was kind of cool. It seemed like it. You weren't excited for it? Oh no.
Oh man, this is one of my gripes.
Okay. And then also Mario Golf Super Rush DLC that they announced, where they added Koopa Troopa and Ninja. There's going to be 2 new courses: the Blustery Basin and the Spiky Palms, which are a snowy and desert set area. But okay, well let's get into like full thoughts, and if there's anything that y'all want to shout out separately. I know I'd be remiss to say mention nothing about Disco Elysium. Ed's been looking forward to that for a long time, and then I am incredibly happy about the Castlevania Advanced Collection. But let's start with you, Stephanie. Do you have like final thoughts on the Nintendo Direct, or just anything that we didn't get to that you want to shout out?
Just overall, I thought it was a great direct. Like I alluded to earlier, I love how they provided different genres. I think there's just a little bit for everyone to walk away with. I'm not a big Splatoon person, but that's another big title that they, Splatoon 3 in 2022, again, to what you said, that there's a lot of 2022, which is why I'm thinking 2022 is going to be massive. I'm looking forward to, I know it dropped already, Castlevania Advance. I know they mentioned Metroid Dread again. All these additional documents you can read. I was a little disappointed with Hyrule Warriors DLC, but I'll let David speak to that.
I mean, go for it. I'll echo whatever you don't say.
So yeah, you can take it from here, because I think that's all I have to say. I just think they did a great job. I definitely did not expect Breath of the Wild 2 in there at all, but if it's going to be 2022, then I'm trying to figure out like when's it going to come out compared to everything else.
David? Unleash.
Oh, look, I mean, here's the thing, right? You know I love Hyrule Warriors. It's my top 3 Zelda game of all time. It's one of my favorite video games
That still
ever.
hurts my soul.
That's well, speaking of soul hurting, look, I've been waiting for this DLC since they announced it. The one back in the spring, the first wave was just a gameplay DLC. It had extra weapons and things like that. They've been building this up for months now. That the one that comes out in the fall was going to be the big story mode DLC that was going to give us more background on certain characters, bring more playable characters. That trailer was absolute garbage. I have no idea what was happening in that trailer. Like, it was completely nonsensical. And for it being this big buildup that we were going to find out more story, a lot of people thought maybe we'd finally get some backstory on Aster, who had zero characterization in the game. So I was holding out to, like, okay, this DLC is going to make up for that. And like, I have no idea what this next wave of DLC is about. I've watched it half a dozen times. I'm so confused by that trailer. I don't understand how Nintendo dropped the ball here with that. Like, I'm super disappointed, and I'm their prime audience. Like, I was primed to love it, and I hated it.
So, okay, well, I think that they are giving us more details on, like, what happened with the individual champions. That's kind of where the part of that trailer looked like that. And then if you remember, there was that scene it was very brief, but it looked like there were several Asters or just like different members of that cult
in a circle in the forest.
So
yeah.
I think they could still give it to us. I think they could still give us an exciting like
I hope
story
so.
DLC pack. It's their little, which they did this again, and I don't understand why this is the problem for Age of Calamity, but they showed like the like final what is it called? End card for that trailer, and it had like all the stuff that they just kind of announced.
Right.
And they showed it for like 2 seconds, and it had so much text on it. But to read part of that off is, so they're adding new stories, including Battle for Kakariko Village, Battle for Gapanga Village, and more. Which you get a lot of that. There's new stages, including the Colosseum and more. This is the part that really disappoints me, is newly added playable characters, Purah and Robbie, and one more.
Oh, that makes me so mad.
I personally really hope that it's baby Sidon. I just love how cute he is. But maybe they'll bring Aster as a playable character?
Aster, Suga, like, nobody wants to play Pyrrha and Robbie. Nobody does. Like, look, I still love the game, but like, that was a big letdown. Give us a story trailer. Give us the characters that we want to play. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, all right. You have any other thoughts on the Direct, David?
No. I think that's it. I wasn't expecting Breath of the Wild 2. I do think that we're going to see that at the Game Awards. So that's my thought with that.
Dan, what about you?
It wasn't really a Direct for me, because it's just like Splatoon, Bayonetta were kind of big announcements on there, or showed it. I haven't played either one of those. People were hyped for Deltarune, Kirby. It wasn't like it just wasn't one for me, but like I thought it was really good. There was just like really cool announcements in it. I love that we're getting updated online. There was still a little Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Triangle Strategy, which I'm looking forward to. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. People love that game, and I've never played it. So, like, I think that's cool that I'll get a chance to play it. And Castlevania Collection is downloaded and ready to be played on my Switch right now. So, overall, I thought it was a good one. Just not one geared towards me.
So I thought that this Direct was their worst put together Direct. It seems like they always kind of have a throughput, a theme for all of them, and this one especially, like I made a joke about it, but given the fact that they kind of announced it as things coming in winter 2021, and then focused very heavily on 2022. Almost makes me feel like somebody, some intern at Nintendo, like clicked the wrong save as and renamed it the wrong thing, and then they posted it and they were just like, well, guess this is what we're releasing. They just like they didn't. It's very strange because everything, it almost seems like everything was announced for 2022 and not even like early January 2022. Like we're talking late spring, summer, even into fall. I will say I was very excited about Kirby. I love the Kirby series. I love Kirby as a character, so I'm super excited to see that. KOTOR Knights of the Old Republic is a weird one because they're remastering that. So it's weird that the Switch is getting the like original version when it could get the remastered version, even if that means it's going to be kind of like, you know, taken back graphically a little bit, but it could at least get partially the remastered version. Castlevania Advanced Collection, big win for me. The only thing now that I wish they would put from Castlevania series is Castlevania HD or Harmony of Dissonance, which was the multiplayer Castlevania on the Xbox 360 and PS3. I don't know if anybody played that, but it's basically it's 4-player old school Castlevania, like Symphony of the Night style. So that's a ton of fun. But all in all, yeah, it was a very strange direct, with a lot of cool hype moments, but a lot of just like, in between for me personally. And the biggest thing being, it seems like the casting for Mario. The Mario movie. That seems to be what the internet is all abuzz about.
Yeah.
But yes.
You know, Jacob, I you know what, I got to give that to you. The what seems to be disorganized, whether or not it's truth or not, because Nintendo has been known to be not only, you know, very tight-lipped, but they're very, very careful with what they say. Like, I just know when I think Nintendo, especially, like, they're just normally very cautious, and wording is super important. So although ultimately it didn't bother me because it's got me hyped for next year and about like all the amazing games that are coming out. And again, not just Nintendo, but just in gaming. But yeah, when you think about it, I'm like, that really just didn't go with what the expectation they had initially set out for.
Exactly. And this is the company that came out for E3 2016, 2017, whatever it was, saying, hey, we're only talking about Breath of the Wild. And everyone on the internet was like, oh, okay, sure, but you're going to show other things, right? And then, no, we're only talking about Breath of the Wild. And then they proceeded to only talk about Breath of the Wild for like 3 days, with very minor things announced here and there. Like, it's just a really weird feeling coming from them to see it like be not... Disorganized is a great word for it, but I feel like just not fully thought out in how they announced it.
It did seem haphazardly thrown together.
It did.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
And the biggest thing for me, which again, I'm not a big fan of Dying Light because I don't like first-person games that require a lot of movement like that. But Dying Light and that whole thing got announced at Gamescom, and then they used direct time to announce it again, or I think it was Gamescom. I'm sorry if I'm incorrect in that, but I thought it was that, or I think it's that. And so it didn't feel like Nintendo to me, and usually it does. The opening was great, the ending was great, and there were a couple little things in the middle that I cared about, but usually it just felt off. It felt not like a direct, even though it was a direct. So yeah, that's our docked mode. And now we're getting into playing with power. So Dan, let's start with you. What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of let's see. Oh, Skyward Sword. I'm very close to the end of it. I'm probably saying this to the wrong crowd. I do have mixed feelings on this game. Revisiting places over and over and over is a total drag. But like, it also has like some of my favorite dungeons that I think I've played in a Zelda game as well. Like I just finished, I think it was called the Skykeep dungeon. And I can't think of I can't even think of a dungeon that even compared to that one. Like, I had so much fun with it. I thought it was great. So the game's like kind of 50-50 for me too. I know it was a Wii game and like they were going for motion controls, but there's just so many things that are gimmicky. And The Imprisoned is the worst battle in any Zelda game ever. I can't stand The Imprisoned.
By the way, did they shorten that to 2 fights with it, or is it still 3? Because I swear
3.
I thought
It's still 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm still
It's
very
4 if you want.
No,
Yeah,
no.
well, yeah, if you do that, actually,
If you get
isn't
the
it?
Hylian shield, 5. You can do 5 up to 5.
Yeah,
6. I had to do 6.
Oh.
yeah.
I
It
hate
can
that
be as
thing.
many as you'd like.
But yeah, so I think I'm right at the end of it. But you know, I'm glad I played it. I'm glad it's on Switch. Like it's not a bad game. It just pisses me off. I'm playing Picross S4. I'm almost done with that one.
Nice.
What was the other game I played? I swear I had another one that I was playing. Yeah, it couldn't have been that good. So I guess it's just those two.
Dan, what about you? No,
I just
David.
went.
Sorry,
Yeah.
brain.
No, it's good.
Brain broke. Long day.
Ed does that too, so you're feeling it well.
Excellent.
No, the new season of Fortnite came out, so I play that with my kids a lot. So we've been kind of grinding away on that. And then the game that I've been enjoying in like my free time, in my quest to play and have every Aliens game, Alien Infestation on Nintendo DS. Was a really hard one to track down. Credit to Ed for telling me it even existed. I found it on Amazon, and when I got it, I unfortunately got like a fake version of the game that didn't work.
Oh no.
And so I had to like request the refund from Amazon and everything. But I found another seller who gave me a legit version of the game, and I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a Metroid-like game. But the thing that makes it unique is that you play with a squad of Marines, but once they die, and so you can only get as far. Like when you get a game over, there's no reset point where you get your characters back. You just have to delete your game file and start all over. So it's kind of an interesting concept, but I'm really enjoying it because every time I lose a life for a character, it feels really like significant, and so I'm enjoying it. So. Those are my 2.
Okay, Stephanie.
All right. So I do have to mention this because I do see it as significant. I did get an Xbox Series X finally. Shout out to Pat who helped me with that. So I'm kind of like trying to favor that just because it's like, oh, shiny new toy.
Yes.
So I downloaded a bunch of games from Game Pass and I started the Medium. But I still play my Nintendo because Nintendo's my home, my comfort. And not only that, but my son likes watching me play video games, so I'd rather have him watch me play Zelda on the Switch versus the Medium on Xbox. So I've been chugging through Skyward Sword. He loves watching that. He always asks me every night if he can watch. And I said in a previous episode, he likes to sometimes hold the left Joy-Con to control his movement, and I'll be the sword person with the motion controls. Until we got to Ancient Sister, and I'm like, I got to get through this. Yeah. You gotta. There's some. And then he watched me fight Galactos, and I actually shared with David. He drew Galactos. He got like so excited.
Oh,
he
that's so cool.
A pen and paper. Actually, I have it right here. Sorry for those that can't see this.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny.
The Galactus mouth is perfect.
That's awesome.
And then when Link tempers his sword, the look on my son's face was like of the utmost awe. And I just looked at him instead of the game. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me. Like during the Ocarina of Time thing. It just, sorry, more of a side tangent, but just I'm enjoying playing through Skyward Sword very slowly. But that's because I'm sharing that experience with my son. But I'm also playing Firewatch on the side, hoping that would eventually be a Talk the Walk. So I want to have that played through if and when they eventually record that. So those are my Nintendo games.
That's awesome. That's
Jacob, how about you?
Thanks. I've been on vacation, but I did start and finish Ultra Age, produced by Dongan Entertainment. I will talk more about it on a review for Boss Rush Network as well as my own website. But it's a kind of like Devil May Cry action style game that has a lot. It's a very small, developed by a small indie group of like 4 to 5 people. Has a lot of really cool ideas. Like you can see their thought processes on it, but it just doesn't quite make it. But I will say, the story for this game, it was about 7 to 8 hours, and the story is what really kept me hooked because I just wanted to learn what was going on in this world. Gameplay wise, it gets very samey, and background, ambiance wise, environment wise, it gets very samey very quickly. But the story does a very good job of keeping you hooked. I will say, I will give that to its credit, in a way that was like all the way to the end. The final scene, it was like a mind blown. Like, no way! I can't believe that's how they ended it. So shout out to Ultra Age for that. But other than that, I've been on vacation. I played a little bit of Pokemon Unite because Pokemon Unite got brought to mobile finally. It's now released on mobile. Mobile is
How do you
not,
like it on mobile?
Mobile is not where I would play it. Me
Oh.
personally, I can't stand the touch controls of the screen for moving a character. I thought when I first started the match, I was like clicking on the screen and I didn't notice the little like what is supposed to represent your Joy-Con, or not your Joy-Con, your joystick in the bottom left-hand corner. So I was like, why aren't I moving? And then I realized what was going on. But it was very hectic and difficult for me personally. I think a controller is absolutely the way to go. And I know they do make controllers for mobile, so maybe this has support with that. But if you really have the itch to play Pokemon Unite and you just want to knock out like your daily quests that they give you each day to get your currencies for free, I could see mobile being a good use of that. But like, I would be very shocked if anybody plays this strictly mobile and like that's where they play this game.
There's just so much action on
Mhm.
screen. I don't understand how like it's even gonna work.
Yeah.
I downloaded it and I haven't even played it. I really like it on Switch too. Like
Yeah.
I've binged on Pokemon Unite on Switch.
Yeah, it's very weird, especially because like the UI takes up so much of the screen on mobile. And I have an iPhone 12 Pro Max, so I have like the big one, and it still was really difficult to see anything. Maybe on an iPad this might be better, or like an Android tablet it might be a little bit better, but it's not the greatest thing in the world. I will say though, to their credit, I kind of expected to have to like start all over and buy things all over again, but you can link up and it is instantaneous. The only thing that doesn't work, and I think this is the same case for like games like Fortnite, where like if you have V-Bucks, I think they're called in Fortnite, on like the PlayStation, you cannot use those on your Nintendo console. You have to buy them specific to that console. And so their paid currency is that way, but like all of my credits and everything so far transferred over seamlessly, and I played the game on here on mobile, and then when I got back home I started it up on the Switch and all of those games that I played showed up, and I was like, great, excellent, got those currencies in and we're good to go. So
Okay, I was going to ask that. So that's good to know that the save transfers, or however you want to call it.
yeah.
I mean, I personally am not a big phone gamer myself, so I'll probably never ever go there, but it's, it's an option.
Yeah. Like I said, I see myself only using it on mobile for getting, like, if I just can't get to my Switch in time, or if I know I'm going to be busy in the evening, maybe during like my lunch break at work, I'll knock out a couple games on it, since I don't connect to the Wi-Fi at work on my Switch because I bring my Switch with me. So yeah. All right. Well, any last thoughts, guys? This has been a weird episode with me hosting. Sorry, Ed. Hopefully I didn't.
Hey, you
butcher
did a
too
great
much.
job.
You did a
Yeah,
great job,
awesome.
Jacob.
Well, thank you. So yeah, with that, anybody want to plug anything real quick?
Yeah, I'll just plug really quick just to say you can find me at David Lasby on Twitter, and also I'm going to be taking some time off the podcast here to focus on the website and some other things. I will be back at some point, but just got too much going on, and I'm having trouble keeping up. But I'll be listening regularly and from time to time joining. So
Awesome. Stephanie, plugs?
Salute you. You can find me on Twitter at Klimov, KLIMOV_author. I'll be retweeting a bunch of stuff, and also I know for like the 10th time, I write for bossrush.net, and not just for myself, but do check out the articles. I'm just very proud of our writing team. I believe, is it Mark? David, give me, make sure I'm correct. Mark was able to write up the news for the Nintendo Direct announcement, and we got it on our website in 15 minutes of that tweet. So I'm just very proud of our writing team. So, check us out, stay up to date with us.
Dan?
Well, they said everything I can about the website, and you can find me on Twitter at DCDM99.
That's awesome. I've been your host, and you can find me everywhere on the internet at Galatrad. I am going to be doing a giveaway for a copy of Metroid Dread over on my Twitter, so please go check that out. That'll be announced the day before you hear this, if you're not watching the live show. So it's already been announced. Go check my pinned tweet, and you'll be able to enter into that. Metroid Dread releasing on October 8th. And with that, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I was about to sign off the way I do on my Twitch streams, which is stay happy, healthy, and hydrated. This has been Nintendo Pow Block, episode 264, an incredible stumble of an episode on my part. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Good night, everybody. Keep snacking.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. And you gotta say good night.
Oh, goodbye.
So rude.